What's up, everyone? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on this big ball that we call home. You're back with me today, maybe for the second time, because this is my second live show today. So you're here with me, Ian Kane, and a big welcome to this week's installment of DappRadar Meets. The date today, Wednesday, September the 28th. That's right, it's nearly Christmas, guys. Crazy. So what are we doing here? DappRadar Meets is all about throwing light on dapps and projects in the Web3 space. More importantly, getting inside their head and kind of digging around in the heads of founders, project leaders, and marketers to uncover strategies, motivations, and ideas. Why? Because as the world's Dapp Store, we want to highlight and showcase exciting projects and let the community peek under the hood and get to know the team and see what's in store. So blockchain gaming has been a big topic for us at DappRadar. It's not going away anytime soon as well, and it's been driving record numbers of people into the blockchain. So it's amazing to see. So with that in mind, this week we've invited Bill Fares. He's the Director of Global Community at Gameta. Bill, is it Gameta or is it Gameta? Please, can we clear this up? I've been calling it Gameta, and then somebody told me it's Gameta. What is the real pronunciation?
I will try my best to help you out, however, but I think my effort will come with very little at this point. So within my team, we actually call them both. But the founder team calls them Gameta, so I think we can go with Gameta at the moment.
Right. Okay. I'm going to stick with Gameta then, and we'll go that. Oh, I'm quite happy about that. So I haven't been saying it wrongly for ages, but yeah,
help.
You guys have not decided either yet, so that's quite interesting as well. So yeah, we've got Bill here with us today, and I'm going to pick his brains on the project, and then we're going to talk about the broader blockchain gaming space. But from a data perspective, I just want to introduce the project in a nice way. Looking at the data, so you guys are on BNB and you're on Solana, and DappRadar tracks on-chain metrics. So we've got 600,000 wallet connections in the last 7 days and nearly over 800,000 transactions. Pretty good. Pretty good. It puts you at the top of the list on DappRadar. So, Bill, without any further ado, can you please give us like the top, what is Gameta? What is it? What do you do? What are you trying to achieve? Fill us in, man.
Awesome. Thank you very much for the question, and thanks for inviting me to the show today. This is really awesome. I actually have been a fan of DappRadar for a very long time, actually. And so to put it very shortly of what we do, Gameta itself is basically what we call a Web 2 to Web 3 infrastructure leveraging casual games to attract users. Our goal is basically to attract at least 20 million everyday consumers from the Web 2 space into Web 3, and we achieve this basically through a combination of hundreds and hundreds of casual games that we develop for our users, and then train them, to have a incremental education in the experiencing the Web 2, Web 3 ecosystem, and eventually build their habit on the Web 3 in the Web 3 market, and just get used to them.
So would you say it's fair for me to say that at this stage, the ambition for the project is driving users? Because I'm going to show this video of the games, and I want to be very clear about the type of games that we're talking about. We're talking about pretty simplistic, hyper casual games that are just kind of jump in, get involved, have some fun, hop out. So I'm going to show this short video, Bill, just to give people an idea of the kind of games that we're talking about. And then we'll jump in, because I think it's important for people to get that visual, right?
Absolutely.
So Absolutely. Sit back and enjoy your own creation for 1 second, my man. All right, very cool. I really like that sleep ragdoll one. I think it's because I was watching Rick and Morty yesterday about the night person, and now
yeah.
I just saw that. It made me laugh quite a lot, man. Okay, so I wanted to show that to give people an idea of the types of games we're talking about. Hyper casual, still pretty complex physics involved in these kind of titles, though. So yeah, what we're going to do is now jump in. So also shout to the live audience today. If you want to ask any questions or you hear something that you don't understand, just pop it in the chat and we'll do our best to answer that question for you. If we don't get round to it, then still put it there because we'll come and answer that later for you. Okay, so let's get it. So I want a quick intro from you, Bill. First of all, I want to know a little bit about yourself. How did you get into this, as I always call it, crazy blockchain gaming world? What's your background, man? Like, what have you been doing up until now that's led you into this project? Tell us a bit.
Thank you. That's a great question. So for me, actually, my background is quite different from from gaming. I started in finance actually, and been in the industry for 10 plus years. But then in about 2017, last cycle actually, 2018, I joined the crypto market. Actually, today what we call the Web3 market. Started as venture incubation for venture capitals. I stationed actually in Vietnam for quite a while, and then actually it's over there that I got my exposure to a lot of GameFi projects, actually Axie Infinity back in the days. That actually got me to play games over there. So that one was the Web3 based gaming, and then also at around the time I've always been a fan of casual games because with the work you have, you always want to play casual games around just to relax. Yeah. And I think by the time of last year, I had tried tons and tons of casual games out there, and it's by that chance, from introductions of friends, that I learned what the teams of Gameta has been doing, and actually got in touch with their founders. And actually, it's talking to them I realized I've been playing one of their games for a long time, like the crypto builder one. Like one looks like Death Stranding, actually, that one over there. I play a lot of that, and we started into a big conversation about those. And then eventually, the team wanted to do a Web3ized kind of version of all the game content they're creating. And with my experiences, we had a really good chemistry. That's why I eventually joined the team to help them with a global community and the marketing efforts for us for the project over there. And for me, my currently experience with the team and based on past experiences, it primarily helping the team gaining our global exposure, building our global community, basically talking to our players and users on a daily basis to see, okay, which one is awesome? What games you like to play? Yeah. What's your feedback? Like any suggestion you have so we can improve our game. And because I'm one of their players. I'm the one who's always playing the games that they release and actually playing other ones as well. Don't tell them when I say this. And
you understand, right? Yeah, you understand more deeply because you're actually part of it and playing, like not just kind of sitting on the side trying to help people. That would be crazy, right? That's super interesting, Bill. Like, but the thing you said about coming from finance, that's kind of a common thread that I hear often. Like people who are working in gaming, they're coming from a finance perspective. I think it's very cool because the tokenomics of these games is super important. So it obviously plays a big role in what we're doing here. So it's not strange to hear that actually. So it's very cool. But then going to Vietnam, obviously, as soon as you said that, I was like, that's the link, right? That's how you've come to see all this other stuff with Axie and other projects out there. So, okay, cool, man. Very cool. All right. So you've kind of floated towards gaming from being a gamer yourself and understanding finance. I think it's a good place to come from as well. All right. So Gameta is like the brand, as I see it, the overarching company that controls everything. And you've already released a whole bunch of mini games, right? And some of the ones that we've shown, were they like old games that you guys had already developed? Were they games that already existed, or were they like brand new sort of ideas that you brought to bring onto the blockchain? How did this process kind of work? Like, where did these games come from?
I'm glad you asked that. That's actually a very interesting question, and happy to share how usually the process of us developing is. So just a little bit of background. Basically, the teams came from a background of developing hyper casual games. In the casual game industry, it's not like the team came from a crypto or Web3 background. Basically, the team's main actually one of its biggest strengths is it has over 6 years in casual game, hyper casual game development, actually. So to answer your question, actually, a lot of these games are a combination of both. So about half of them are already proven models of game models that we have developed, and we can renovate it, upgrade it, and then kind of release content to the market with token and NFT system added to it. And then secondly, a lot of the new stuff, the new games are actually developed based on our development model for the market, and they're being developed on the fly, for the future, and some of them are still in the finishing stage right now. However, all of these contents, like I mentioned, since the team have a 6-year experience, all the development for the project follows a very tried and true kind of process for creating the game. So basically, we have from the starting stage, testing your idea, market, see if it works, prove out, do out the demo, test it out. If it works, you continue to put resources to develop into a full game, and then you put into full distribution. So every step of the way, everything is being tested actually with the market. I'm surprised, actually, although I come from a finance background, I'm not the most data-driven or the data person actually looking at ROIs in the team. A lot of them are actually more aware of this in which market really helps the game kind of distribute, and if the game actually satisfies the players' need for that. So going back to the question, half of them are renovate additions, upgrading from the old games, existing models, and half of them are actually newly developed at the moment.
It makes perfect sense though, right, Bill? Like, you've got a tried and tested methodology and physics of a game. We're seeing it in other places as well. Games like, I used to work in mobile gaming in 20,
nice.
And we were doing stuff like Othello. We were doing Solitaire, but we were doing it with a twist, right? We were making it a bit funky and a bit cool, but it was fundamentally mechanics that were thousands of years old. But do you find that, do you ever see an idea that works in Web 2? Like, I don't know, for example, like an endless runner. Is there anything that you've tried to turn into a kind of blockchain game where it just has not worked and people are just like, this is only fun when there's no kind of financial implication here? Like, have you seen anything like that, just as a question, or is everything been going to plan, basically?
That's a really good question. Actually, for every one game released to the market, there are 2 to 3 of them that we killed at the idea stage. So there's always things that actually, so the way actually we kind of create these games, and this actually, I think this kind of principle applies to all the market, regardless of if you're in Web 2 or Web 3. It's just basically sticking to product that works, even though Web 3 gives you the benefit, having tokens and having tokenomics to help you, earn more benefit. But at the end of the day, it really goes back into, is the game fun? Does it work? Does it work with the player? Do they like it? So if the game sucks, basically, even if you have a perfect, really good token model, it sucks. It just sucks.
That's
so
it.
For us,
I see that.
I do see that. So for us, is when we were developing the games, actually, you don't really talk about the tokenomics model. There's 2 things that because we're doing casual games, right? There's several key factors that you look at. So one, does the players relax and they play? Can have them play a short period of time and have a first satisfaction, and they can be relaxed after playing 10 to 20 minutes. So it's not like Elden Rings major games that you play, you have to spend hours. So you have some principle to follow, and based on this, you let your creative minds flow. And then you're right, you follow a lot of very tried and true formulas, and you put new ideas on top of it, so that in the end, when you with those mixed up, you try the game to see if they're fun, if they can be playable, if the players like it. And when they do, that's then when you add the Web3 elements onto it. So that can help putting a good product out.
That's a really, really strong point. And it just, basically, I've been asking people about the games that they play, non-crypto native people, right? And crypto native people. So if you speak to a crypto person and you say to them, hey, do you think it'd be cool if you made money playing this game? They don't ask me if the game is fun. They're really not that bothered. As soon as they hear the incentive, they're like, cool, okay, that's good. Then if I ask my wife, for example, who's playing Candy Crush, like I said to her, if you could earn and play this, would you do it? The first thing she said was, but is it going to be fun? or is it just about the money?
Exactly.
So like, it really occurs to me that, yeah, we've got two audiences here, right? You've got gamers who want fun games, and you've got investors who want to make cash. And up until now, we've kind of kept them, we're trying to bring it all together into a nice package, it feels at the moment. But yeah, I couldn't agree with what you're saying more. Like it's very interesting, I think, that people building games a year ago weren't thinking about fun. Like it's a bit weird.
Yeah, you're right. They were, I was in the heydays of the GameFi craze a year ago, and I just kind of see it. Just a little bit off topic over here, because I was playing Axie Infinity back in 2019, and I think back in the days, there were no NFT markets, no like token out. People were just caring about if you can get to battle with the other one. There was already a very vibrant community back then. It was having fun, like back in the day, you're just having fun, like.
Yeah.
And then nowadays, but with incentives, I think it kind of gets people to kind of veer off the previous goals and just say, okay, there's major, maybe the tokenomics, maybe the economics can like overshadow the gameplay. But at the end of the day, still, it goes back to the core principle. Is it fun? Is it good to play? So I think that's what matters.
Yeah, I agree with you, dude. I definitely agree with you there. So going off piste a little bit, and I want to get your opinion because of your job and what you do over at Gameta. You obviously is community driven. So in your opinion, like what are the three kind of critical ingredients for any brand to be active in Web3? Not just right now, but just kind of generally, like what do you see as being the key ingredients for brands right now?
Very good question. So I think three key ingredients. So one, let me go one by one. This is a really good, really great question. So first of all, I think is that, like we just talked about, you stick to one of your core elements that attracts people. You don't veer off from that. So if it's a DeFi project and you said it lets you have a seamless transactions, cross borders, and earn really high APRs, that's kind of your focus. You stick to it. You have your core following. That it's about that core following that lets you do. So if it's a game for us, your main, like for us, our main competitive strategy, kind of core focus is that one is relaxing to play our games. Secondly, there always will be new games for you for at least a year or 12 to 18 months. You will always have something new to try out. So, and thirdly, just on a minor level, you play that, you have some kind of incentives that, before you might be a user that pay to play these games, bypass. When you play, you can earn something. Not very big. It still doesn't, it's not the main focus, but it give you some really good something after your relaxation. So sticking to this, you have your core following. That's always true. So then that's when you keep your first level activeness over there. So I think it's all about a circle. So you have that core following community, and then you can talk about going out and everything going out there. Secondly is that at some point that in the market, your one of what you do, either be it economic or be it factual based or be it product based, can touch on nerve of the market. It either can be an innovation or you're bringing some massive value to the market that can get you kind of a rather explosive recognition in the market and have you being out there to be recognized and to be shared for a period of time. And this is a double-edged sword for my feeling, because I also have been involved in several communities before. So at this time, you kind of have to be careful and stick to what you do and be able to convey a clear message market of who you are and what you be. You shouldn't be able to become that one project to please everybody, because if you want to please everyone, you can't please anyone. So that's the second one, I think. So when you meet that, we're always fighting for that chance, so that we call it riding the wave. So when that comes up, if you're somewhere that's around of them, that's over there, so you kind of want to get into to be linked to that kind of places that can get you linked to some major trends out there. And then to actually add on that, third one is when you see these major trends coming out, I think what's the third element is not to have a advanced judgment of to say if it's right or wrong. what really happens when you see some new innovation, I think one of the best thing about Web3 is that there's always innovative products, things coming out. When you're in Web2 right now, I think the Web2 world is very set, it's very mature. So innovation are very small. You see the Apple phones coming out every year. It's just same thing, almost same thing every year. But in Web3, every 2 months, there's something new coming up. And when you see this new stuff, all these new elements coming up, if you feel that they can really add value towards your product, like for us, we're actually in addition to the games, we're building an NFT marketplace because that kind of makes sense. With the NFT avatar we airdrop to every user, actually anybody who has a chance, you try to play our games, you get a free NFT avatar. You might have some really good benefit coming up pretty shortly. Aside from that,
some alpha there, some alpha there. We'll talk about that again. We'll talk about that again.
Yeah, let me go back to the last part. So when you see these new elements coming up, don't fight it, but rather review it. See if it helps. If it helps you, you really should think about incorporating it into your product. So it's not changing your core principle, but actually having your product evolve. And that actually is working for us, and that's what we do. Because one example I want to share is that when we were doing the traditional Web2 style kind of releasing for our games distribution, usually gamers play time is about 10 minutes a day. And after we kind of incorporated a light version of our token and NFT system, actually we're doing test launch in several regions, the average user playtime increased from 10 minutes to 15. So it's like a 50% increase. So that to us is a very good feedback. Like, okay, this system is working. It actually doesn't make sense to not apply and embrace it. So the sermon after all is when you see the new innovative ideas and elements coming out, don't fight it, review and see if it works, embrace them.
Amazing. Great advice, Bill. That's really cool. I would definitely echo everything you're saying. And like that first point you made, I think is really important about, I think the word is arrogance a little bit. It's about being, it is, I think, and I think the strongest brands on earth are quite arrogant about what they do, right? This is what we do and this is how we do it. And everybody will know that. If you try and do everything, no one knows what you're doing, right? And as you rightly said, you cannot please everybody. And if you try, you're in for a bad time, right? So yeah, excellent points, man. Excellent points. Really cool. All right. So that was a bit of an off-piste question, just to sort of pick into your brain a little bit there as well. So let's jump back over to Gameta again. And let's talk about how players earn in these games and what kind of earnings are we talking about? What can they do with these earnings? Can they use them inside other games in your ecosystem? Can they cash them out? What happens here? Bill, tell us.
Very good question. So currently, it's actually a pretty simple system right now. What we are doing on the very grand picture is that having a gradually more complex system. But right now, we're making it very simple because a lot of our users are came from a Web2 background. So basically, I mean, they don't really care about, they don't want to care about spend the time learning about using a wallet. If you can buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, they just want to play their games. So what we're doing is that when you play the games, actually you get a reward. Before it might just be points. These days, the rewards come into the form of, tokens that you can reuse later. One, actually have some chance to cash out. And secondly, have a chance to unlock stuff in the games and and the platform we built. And thirdly, to actually level up your avatar NFT, which we airdrop to you, and that when you level it up, it can be unlock a lot of very unique perks in the future. Like in terms of our marketplace and in the game as well. So that's kind of right now it's very simple. It's just those things that you can play with. And in addition to that, when you want to bypass ads or when you level up your NFT and you don't want to spend that time every day to earn your tokens rewards on there, you can actually have a fiat on-ramp service just to purchase them and then get able to upgrade. However, at the end of the day, I think one thing that we have in mind is that we want to have this kind of token rewards being fun and simple and light economic. It's not like something that you play to make a living. So that's something we want to draw a line at right now.
Yeah,
So,
I want to. That's why I'm asking the question as well, Bill. Like, I always like to be clear about this. This is about rewarding players with small amounts of rewards. We're not talking about. I'm not going to be a millionaire tomorrow from playing.
We always have this analogy, like by playing Gameta games, you can earn a cup of coffee, but it's definitely not going to buy you Rolls Royce.
But and I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all, Bill. I think that's very cool. Like, what's wrong with doing the normal things that you do and gaining a cup of coffee for that? That makes sense to me, right? I don't need to. It does. I mean, that sort of mindset would probably be more appealing to the Web2 gaming community, right? And that's who I think you guys are really focused on, because all your games are available on mobile, if I'm not mistaken, right? You can get everything on the Google Play Store. Is that right? So you literally...
That's correct. That's 100% correct. So all the games right now, they are public release. You can find them either on the Apple Store, App Store, or the Google Play Store. They can all be downloaded there. Right now we have, actually as of this week, 11 games out, and yeah, they can all be found and download from there.
So it's very easy for people to get on board. And then just to jump back to the tokenomics a little bit, because we were talking about two different tokens there, Bill, and I think it's GDO and HIP, right? HIP and GDO. What's the purpose for those two? Can you just break that down? What's one and what's the other, and what's the function of those two specific ones?
I'm glad you find the secret combination that we do right now. So the ones I mentioned about the gaming rewards are the GDOs. So these are the games. There's the ones that you play the games and you earn them, and you can minorly purchase them in the future, like if you don't want to play them. However, add on there for GDOs, we're just letting the users earn them, play through the game, so that you can have an amount of financial rewards as a happiness to you. But they're limited, so you can basically see them as in-game rewards. So those are the GDOs that we want. You can cash them out as well. And then on the other hand, the Hippo tokens, the HIP HIP tokens, they are our crypto tokens. So they will be the ones that will be releasing, that will be listed, public listed in the future for trading and for for transactions, that sort of thing. And this is the main token for the network, for the Gameta ecosystem over here. And what it does is that the HIP tokens, they actually can't be earned through playing games or rewards. They can be exchanged, bought, invested, and hold them. And the reason for and the benefit that it has, of course, I mean, if you have this content that can be earned through playing, and they surely have more utilities, and that's true. And so I call the HIP token like the crown jewel of the tokens in the tokenomics system, because the HIP tokens have several kinds of utilities. So first of all, economic utilities part. So they can be used for the future. For example, in the marketplace for trading fee discounts. That's very straightforward. And holders of HIP token in the future will gain revenue sharing from the earnings of the project. It can be a very high percentage that we would use. So it either can be revenue sharing or token buyback. So it's basically creating a deflation model for the tokens, essentially. And then add on to that, the more is that in the future, when you're in the marketplace for doing like other stuff, you can do the staking for earning, like for getting the sales of new NFTs. And then also when, like in the future, we actually will be opening up our ecosystem to other new partners providing Web3 services to the users. Actually, like they're not just playing our game in the future. We're just telling them, if you have interest in other areas, here are some of the services provided to you. However, when the newcomers, when the collaborators come in and they are doing services in our ecosystem, on the one thing, there will be a stake for them, a collateral that will be leveraging the HIP token, basically staking them up. And secondly is that a lot of transaction medium will be using the HIP token. So that's adds new level of utilities to it. And lastly, in addition to that, is also a governance function. So in the future, actually we are right now expanding and building the DAO governance system for the community right now. In the future, when the players want to choose which game they want to play, they'll be able to, vote on it. Like there are 5 different games, and you're the one and the majority wants to play the one with like the Deer Hunter or something. And that's when provide it to you because the community says it. So that also adds a level of function to it. So overall, you can see that the GDO token that has a very basic kind of economic value and maybe in-game level kind of function in there. But then the HP token have a more grander community-based system-wide and also generally an ecosystem-related kind of utilities and function to that. So that's why I call it like the crown jewel of the tokens. That's kind of our system.
Makes good sense. Makes good sense. Yeah, I wanted to kind of get into that and kind of divide the two and let people understand what it is as well. But
totally,
just sticking on tokenomics, just for and then we'll move away from tokenomics after that. But a lot of games that we've seen, obviously at DappRadar, I'm looking at games, I'm looking at projects all day long, and I've seen a lot of games, and they found it very hard to sustain the model of fundamentally giving away crypto, and it's obviously not. I mean, fundamentally, that's what projects are doing. They're giving out free crypto, but you need methods to be able to manage that. And usually it comes from the kind of revenue from the company, right? So just, we don't need to go really super deep on it, but I just wanted to ask you, we've seen games have found it hard. What do you guys do? What's your kind of methodology? How are you looking at this to keep it sustainable? You've got a lot of players. How will you keep this sustainable in the long run? We already said we're not trying to give out millions of dollars, so that's one thing. But yeah,
that's a great question. When we're entering, the Web3 ecosystem for the Gameta projects, for lack of a better word, we looked over all the existing projects in the market. We learn from what they've been through and try to see to provide ourselves with a long-term kind of model for us. So I think it will go down to the basic. It's basically is that your business model should not be dependent upon your tokenomics model. So the token are not the one that making you money. They're the one for your fundraising, for your governance, for the utilities of the future. It's like equity shares. At the end of the day, what's really helping you is your business model. So for us, it's kind of very straightforward. So the medium might be the token, but the users is spending on the one thing. So initially, there's several phases for our product. So initially, at the end of the day, players are paying to get some of the perks they can get in the game, be it leveling up, be it minting, or be it, unlocking stuff. So that business model is still there. It's just becoming a different kinds of mechanism. Before, it might be directly just swipe your credit card and unlocks this and that. Nowadays, is have some spending some, buy these tokens, buy this reward that can help you level up on unlocking. And it's like a lot of games out there. Like some people just want to keep playing and earn the rewards. That's totally fine. Will always allow you to do that because it's part of the game. But additionally, there definitely will be a percentage for us that's willing to spend and experience it. Actually, this is the fun part of it. With the additional Web3 mechanisms in here, you're now having new scenarios. It's not just spending money to unlock ads, it's spending money to do various stuff that actually sounds like a role-playing games. So that's how we think that's getting the users to actually spending more time in here. Actually, when you spend more time, your spending increases, and that just keep us going. And at the end of the day, for us, it's also relying on two things to keep it expanding and building on what we call the Web3 economy of scale. So one is we rely on our proven distribution model. So for us, one of the biggest things is that we can reach a really large number of users and attract them. So you can see on BNB Chain, in a month, we acquire about 1 million users, like our monthly active users, because that's just something we inherited from the casual game industry. That's something you spent years to building your acquisition, your distribution models. That's one thing. And then next on is actually something we dare kind of experiment on make it true in the Web3 ecospace, is that having all these people coming in here, playing the game, spending, and then be able to interested in trading, interested in trying like stake, trying NFT minting kind of thing. So let them try Web3 services and get used to it and build habits. So now you have 20 million users who's not only swiping their credit cards or spending amount to play the game, but also try on new services in the ecosystem. So I'm having a lot of new users and increasing personal economic interest in this new system. So I am increasing my revenue and of that as well. But I think just go a bit longer off on that. So that kind of requires a lot of efforts in terms of, so that nowadays that doesn't not only involves you providing really good games, but also a really good education system actually to educate the users from Web 2 to Web 3. So yeah, it's quite fun. I mean, it's different from just having users saying, okay, this is Web 3, learn it. That's gonna drive them. It's just like
that's not gonna work, right? Like that doesn't. People don't like that.
That's how you do it. Yeah, basically. So yeah. So that's kind of the thing. The model is very basic for that at the end of the day. So it's a business model that's been tried and true, but we're trying to add flavor to it, kind of have expanded so that it can be built for the long run.
It makes such sense, actually, what you said there, Bill, about the Web 2 kind of usability, and people are still performing the similar actions that they do in Web 2 gaming, and that generates revenue. For some reason, I didn't think about that. So thank you for just outlining that. It makes a lot of sense. So it's it's good answer, and it's a very important topic, I think. So it's good to get that out, I think, about sustainability and how things will move forward as well. So very cool, very cool. All right, so another off-piste question for you, Bill. How important do you think it is that a platform like DappRadar to give mainstream users data-driven insights into Web3 applications? How important do you think the metrics are that we give now? And in your opinion, how can we get better at that to be more in line with what gamers want to see, perhaps, is the question as well. So, and how important is it for us to give that information? Like the App Store basically doesn't do much. They give you 5-star reviews off the back of who knows who used it. What do you think about that? What role does a platform like DappRadar play?
That is a very challenging question. It's like you guys are experts. I'm trying to trying to show off in front of experts right now. I can first tell what's working for us, what we find really authoritative and can convincing. It's definitely the on-chain data, right? The difference between Web3 and Web2 is that Web3 everything is traceable. It's trackable on Web3, and that provides a level of authority and evidence for whoever, be it investors, be it users, be it people who do. So if we say like Gameta is number one in somewhere, there's always data to track it, to back it up. You need the data, but if in Web2 you just need tons and tons of places to back it up. But if in Web3 you have places, and then users can't just look at that data because it's very raw. And I'm really glad and happy that like the DappRadar can be the one that collects them and interprets them in a very straightforward way and very interesting for people to take a look at. And now you build your credibility and in terms of having that as the authoritative, evidence or places for people to check on these data points, on these facts. So I think that's something not to be overlooked at. It's definitely something that we ourselves, when we share with users, when we do our public announcements, it's always quoting DappRadar stats here, DappRadar data points here. So on the basic level, I think it's perfect. It's great help, a lot of help for us to build that interpretable and authoritative, factual based data for people to look at. And secondly, I think in terms for the gaming part, if in the future there can be like different categorizations of what kind of games that then maybe can help users to be more to be able to pick them. Because sometimes when the user coming to like place and they look at rankings, there's two things maybe look at. One, which one has the most like users, I want to try it out. And secondly, which category that I'm interested in. Like for me, it's like, okay, I want to play games that have a lot of runners in there, that just have a lot of shooters in there. And that is something I need to genre. I think that's something I will be trying to find. Actually, that's something because that's something I experienced. Because when I'm looking at the GameFi gaming, rankings, I'll say, okay, this one has really high ranking, but what kind of game is it? It's not until I tried it that I know it. So if there's genre in there, that can be helpful. Because on Steam, on everywhere else, in the Epic Store, they always differentiate by genres. So if that's helpful, then that can be helpful. I mean, to me, of course, basically, and I think to other people as well. So
I think that's super. Yeah, that's super relevant, and it's something that we're also thinking about. I think it's interesting because obviously we started tracking decentralized apps like 4 years ago now. So there was like 100 of them, and now there's like 50,000, and now there's thousands. So it's like, I think we're getting to a place where we're starting to dive into our categories. You know, you've got DeFi, you've got GameFi, you've got exchanges, you've got staking, you've got lending, you've got all these different genres within genres, basically. So I think we're getting to a place where we're trying to unravel that a little bit. And it's good advice though, man. Like, it's similar things that we're thinking. So that's why I wanted to ask you the question as well, to see what you think. All right, man. So we're getting towards the end of the session, Bill, and I think you've done a really cool job of like explaining what everything's about. But I just want to kind of I want to get into your head a little bit more as well before I ask you the final question, which is about the kind of roadmap and stuff. And there's a lot of debate at the moment, Bill. We got free to play, play to earn, play to own, play to have fun, play to win, play to dance, play to lots of different things. What's your take on it? What team are you in, Bill? Are you play to earn? Are you play to play and earn? There's so many. What's your? I mean, I think I know what your point.
That's a very, very good challenging question. So I think it will be I think personally for me, it will be a 4-word, not a 3-word phrase for this one. So it will be for me, it will always be play for fun / earn. That will be something for me, because you know, from my perspective, I'm always for the as a player, as someone who plays games, we're playing games at the end of the day. It's always, the core principle is it should be fun and attractive to play first, and then regardless of how defined fun, like it can be a 15 minutes of relaxation or 2 days of immersive experience. It can be either of them, but it shouldn't be a 2-day of laying in a field trying to count how many tokens you have and then sell it free. That's not something I see. That's the game. That's a DeFi solution. So you're going off to the other category. So for me, if it's in the gaming category, it should be always play for fun, and you can translate whatever it is for the fun, but you should be play for fun / parenthesis earn a little bit. So don't surpass the fun. If you don't surpass it, whatever you add to the other ones, as long as it's not against the law, you're free to do it.
I like it.
So
I like it. That's a solid answer. That's a solid answer. It's I'm with you as well, I think. And the more, I mean, it's difficult for us because we watch the evolution of these categories over years, and we see GameFi being the thing, and then we see gamers getting interested. And I'm wondering where it's going to go next year. I'm seeing we've got a guy who specifically dives into gaming, and some of the stuff he shows us on a weekly basis, the graphic levels are coming up. Like, it's,
oh, you bet. Yeah.
We're getting there, man. Like,
it's amazing. We're seeing a lot of it's amazing. It's just this evolution is fast. Like, people are catching it, like just getting there. It's hard to imagine, like 2 years ago, 2 to 3 years ago, we're playing like really simple graphics on there, and nowadays we're doing like 3-level graphics and everything. And out there, we're fast.
We're fast. Time, isn't it? And like we're using the word games quite openly. So I think for non-crypto people, they hear games, they think games, and perhaps some of these things they've interacted with, not so much games as being kind of just grindy button bashers. But
I like the word grindy. You shouldn't be grinding for it. It's not making a living. It's playing.
Well, the word grinding and fun generally are not going to marry up, right? Like, you don't have fun grinding generally, but well, depends what you're doing. But yeah, so the last thing is I'm going to talk to you about business models a little bit. So with the rise of the internet, like online distribution and free to play became a leading business model, right? We saw that 2010, 2011, free to play games were becoming a big deal. Free to play is doing like $80 billion a year or something like that. Crazy numbers. In your opinion, Bill, how significant will the impact of blockchain gaming be? And do you think it will just there's a lot of debate right now about Apple app stores, 30% fees. Do you think we can destroy existing models, or do you think we're going to be an addition to a diversifying market? What do you think?
Oh man, that's a very deep question. That can something keep
Right?
you up
Can we
at
blow them out of the water,
the
Bill?
middle of the night for that. Well, I don't have, for lack of a better word, I would say erode.
Okay.
I mean, first of all, I mean, at current point, I think if you look at a 10-year period, it's impossible. I mean, it's not logical to say that, okay, the Web3 gaming is going to overthrow the mainstream gaming market. That's not something. We're still learning from them, actually, because they really want to figure out how to, the core principles of gaming out there. However, even based on our own experiences and based on what a lot of the new people that are trying, it's something that also attractive to the new game is that where you can have expansions. So like the existence of NFT as your recognition, as your identity recognition, you can bring that from one game to the next. The token system can be linked to every one of them. So what does that mean? So for us, it means for 100 games, if you have one system, your one avatar NFT, if you use this game to level up, that level up NFT can bring to the other games, and you continue to level that up. Think about that level on the Grand Theft Auto level. So you're playing Grand Theft Auto 6, and you have a really advanced identity. Rockstar can't steal it, can't overplay it or overlook it, can't even take it away. It's because NFT is unchained. You bring that identity that's being leveled up and into the next game, or some other games that Rockstar has made. It just literally means I'm just directly unlocking or experiencing a lot of new things in this new world that I can bring over. I don't have to start from scratch again. I just can choose my own options on there. So it basically links you with various playing scenarios. So now it's not isolated islands. It's always bonding together with another. It's like Call of Duty. On this one, you have 5 different kinds of guns. In the next one, you can have all of those 5 kinds. You don't have to play in the first place to bring it over. So you just have a linkage with it, and that's open. That simple idea opens a lot of new doors for how you develop your games, develop your series, and because everything will kind of have a connection in the future. I think that's what we call the metaverse. A very initial thought of metaverse.
Yeah.
Just linking everything together. Internet is about linking people together, and NFTs, Web3 is even more factualized idea, and more realized idea of how actually in certain places like games, like entertainment, that you actually can link yourself within different isolated areas on the web together. So I think that, I mean, per our experiences, is something that is actually affecting what the mainstream product is like, what the mainstream development is like. So in the future, that's something will play some role in the mainstream development over there. So I have that. I truly believe that that kind of happening in the future.
That's really good thoughts there as well about. And I also, just to kind of add to that, I think that some of the companies, that the traditional gaming companies, perhaps don't fully understand how they can leverage Web3 or how they can benefit or how their players can benefit. And like you say, Rockstar Games, you level up your player. I don't think they're thinking about the benefit for them. They're thinking about players cashing out and running away, I think, is their big fear right now. They're not looking at.
Totally agree. I totally agree. It's always, it's all about the scale of your company. If you already have a model that's already working, it's kind of become risky for you to try out new stuff. So you always think about the drawbacks first, and then if there's going to be like the benefits later.
I don't blame them. Like, I think one of the things I thought was cool with Grand Theft Auto was when they brought in the mobile phone, and then they brought in trading, and it wasn't real trading.
Oh yeah, yes, that's
I remember
so much fun.
It's pretty cool, right? I remember, like, I think my cousin was about 13, 14, and he's talking to me like a Wall Street trader, and I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? And he's like, oh, it's on Grand Theft Auto here, and like, you do this and you do that, and I'm like, oh my God, you've basically just given this kid a financial education that they should be giving you at school. And he got it from the game. So I'm kind of feeling like what we'll see soon is maybe, I don't know, like some infusion of crypto into these games at arm's length, right? So I don't know, like we might see NFTs in Grand Theft Auto, but not NFTs. Like there might be a mission where you have to go and, I don't know, man. Like I just see this.
It can something like it can be a mission in Grand Theft Auto, and only a limited amount of players are able to play it. And when you achieve that goal, that really hard goal, you get that lifetime NFT that can be taken anywhere. It's achievement medal focus, kind of saying that you can take it everywhere. When you're old, you tell your grandson like, look, this is what grandpa did. That's my achievement. I did it in Grand Theft Auto 10. Now I get Grand Theft Auto 102. So think what I did in 30 days.
Like, look, mom, all those hours I've spent in the room in the dark, they're worth something, right?
It just like feels like everything is getting digitalized. I always have this, it's not a dark thought, but Matrix is something that might happen in the future. And what we're doing in Web3 is a step in that way.
I'm happy you said that, Bill. I work in Web3. I'm all about Web3. But for example, today we were talking about something that happened in the sandbox. Somebody got married in the sandbox. And the guy basically said to us, like, the question was, how do you feel about this? Is it the end of human civilization? And I laughed. But at the same time, in a dark way, I do think about that a little bit. And
there's that itchy feeling in the back of your
I don't want to be the guy that's responsible for that. But I do believe as well, Bill, that like things have their shelf life. And I think that this metaverse digital living idea is really hot right now. And people are seeing it as an option because of, let's face it, the world is pretty messed up. And I think people are quite happy to run away right now. That's not going to be the situation forever. And I think people also, as we started to remove physical items from the world, I personally saw humans thirst to get them back. As we tried to minimalize what human beings could get their hands on, like as everything becomes NFTs, you don't need posters anymore. You don't need artwork. You don't need any of these things. You need NFTs. For me, I'm like, nah, I still like having the pictures on the wall. So
yeah, actually, I resonate with that. I buy books a lot. All the time. I buy books. Even though you buy a Kindle, I buy books. I can resonate.
But look at your stack in the back, right? And these are things.
Exactly.
These are things that we can't take into a digital world because we're not so keen on that, perhaps. Just because I think it's an interesting point. It's something we talk about quite a lot. I'm personally not in favor of living in a. I like the earth. I like the smells. I like the sounds. I like
exactly. It's the material things. Yeah, that's out there, the concrete stuff.
But we'll see. I think there will always be a portion of society that go that way. Maybe I don't know. We'll see how it plays out, Bill. Maybe in 10 years we'll be chatting in the metaverse, man, and we'll have like.
I think it's very shortly. We're giving them more options. We're just giving you more options. However that pan out, it's for the future to choose, but we're giving you more options.
That's a really good and nice way, I think. The option's there. If you want to take it, you can. Hopefully everybody does.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to wrap up. So thank you, Bill. I've had a great time talking to you, man. Like, very knowledgeable gentleman. You've articulated everything really well about Gameta. We've even nailed how you pronounce it, so that's great. Lastly, I want to give you the last chance, right? So what's going on with Gameta? What is hot? What's on your roadmap? What's happening? What can people be getting excited about? And then lastly, after the lastly, how can people do that? Tell people where to go, what websites to use, stuff like that.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for sharing that. So 2 things I think that will be very on our roadmap that's directly affecting, will have a benefit to our users. One is there will be an NFT expansion marketplace like benefits announcement pretty soon. That's around our roadmap at the end of year. So right now, like mentioned, if people are trying our games, you'll still have a chance to get a free airdrop of the Gameta Hippo NFTs, which are after NFT. Those NFTs will be, very quiet voice, I'll say, will be tradable, exchangeable, and upgradable pretty soon in the future. So that just means what you're holding right now will have a big utility expansion quite soon. So if you're not playing it, go try it out. If people are, if people are looking for things to looking for the games and looking for what to hold within the game to find things of value, NFT or NFT will be something that will be happening very, very fast in the future. So that's one thing. Secondly, is keep track of our games that release actually. So like I mentioned, we have at least one game that will be out per week. However, I think we'll reach a milestone in the middle of our beginning of next year, which is around 50 to 60 games. And at that point, there will be open up that's something that will link the games together in terms of, like you mentioned, actually the token system that's over there. There will be a visible marketplace for your NFT and for your tokens. For you, actually, it'll be a leveling out system that's linked with the game. So it's actually fun to play. It's a gaming fun kind of area to link those something together. So two things. One is the launching of NFT marketplace and interact centers, and secondly is a mechanism that's link all the all your token rewards and NFTs together actually. As well in the beginning of next year as well. So these two things I think can bring a lot of benefits to what players are already holding right now and then in the coming year. So to get to find out about that and to get the latest update and know where actually to play, to directly have the link to play the games. It's always on Twitter. Follow us at Gameta Official. So it's Gameta followed by of the word official. So that's where we're at. So yeah, so that will be follow our Twitter. Find out the latest stuff. We'll always share the latest news on Twitter, and that's where they can find the best stuff.
Nice, man. All right, dude. I've got one question here, and it's quite an interesting one because basically the question is asking, they went to the site as we were talking, and they were wondering if these games are available on desktop because he was wondering, is that an option? They're not, are they? It's mobile, right?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So currently right now is 100% on mobile. So we're exploring the possibility of having a desktop version in the future, but currently right now it's entirely available only on mobile. So yeah.
All right, cool, man. Thanks for that question, Ashley. Yeah, I just wanted to get that out there because I saw that you were having a problem. So yeah, on mobile, so you can use your device. If you don't have one, then soon it sounds like as well. All right, cool, man. Thank you so much for your time, Bill. I'm gonna wrap this up here. I really want to thank you for joining me today. And we've spoken about the project, but more importantly, we've kind of given people an opportunity to see who you are, what you're all about, the company. You're currently sitting at the top of the DappRadar rankings. So I think it's very important for people to understand who are you? Who is this company? So it's a good opportunity for that. So guys, we've got other shows lined up for the rest of the week, more live shows, more pre-records. So you can join us here. Hit us up on Twitter if you've got any questions off the back of this show. And as Bill said, if you jump over onto their Twitter, if you've got questions for those guys, ask them over there and they'll do everything they can to answer them as well. All right. So thank you very much. Bill, do you want to have the final word? Maybe just say thank you.
Thank you very much for having me. It's actually been a very fun night. Thank you.
It's been a fun chat, man. Good conversations. That's why we're here. So I hope everybody today learned something. As I say, any questions, please do give us a shout. My Twitter handle is there. If you want to ask me anything, feel free. Can't promise I can answer it, but I'll try. All right. Thank you, Bill. Thanks for your time, man. We're going to end it there. So take care, everybody.
Awesome.
And we'll see you soon.
All right.